All right, She-Hulk, episode numero 6, right? 6? Yeah, all right. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Anthony Salic. If you are new here, be sure to leave a like, comment, and review, as we are going to be doing more She-Hulk episodes and more MCU content throughout the entire year and further beyond. So, She-Hulk, episode 6. All right. So, with the cliffhanger that we had last week with the Daredevil mask, one would assume that this would be the introduction and episode of Daredevil. However, it isn't. It's a wedding episode, and as Jennifer Walters said, weddings can come at an inconvenient time. So we have a wedding episode this week, and I feel like this is gonna create a lot of controversy and anger among the community, because right off the bat, a lot of people, including myself, was expecting the Daredevil episode, specifically now that we only have 3 episodes left after this, but we're gonna get to that in a little bit. But the fact that Disney has sort of been marketing Daredevil as like a big sort of thing. Also, not to mention, we still have a lot to cover, which I'm gonna get to later. But like, you know, they market Daredevil, and last week we had the Daredevil tease, so we all thought that he was gonna be in this episode, but he wasn't. So, but it was a wedding episode. It was sort of a much more of a Jennifer Walters centric rather than She-Hulk, which is good. I think that for a character like this, who has a duality, like the normal, regular person and the superhero alter ego, I think that they're doing a great job with the going back and forth between Jen and She-Hulk. And I think that this episode mainly was a Jennifer episode, but also did have a great amount of She-Hulk in it as well. So, moving on to the storyline, just to keep it simple. Basically, Jen gets invited to a wedding by an old friend. She ends up attending, and instead of going as the She-Hulk, she is kind of forced to stay as Jennifer Walters in order to not take attention from the main couple. And it's a really, really good storyline. They sort of go, again, we sort of discussed before how the A and B storyline of the show really does sort of split the time, and we have different centers, or we have different stories. So like this A and B storyline was Jennifer at the wedding, and then the B storyline was the Mallory and Nikki over here, working on a Mr. Immortal case, which I thought that was pretty cool. They're trying to give these side characters as much shine as they can, because I don't think a lot of people really realize about this, but like when we get to the next crossover and we get to the next, team up film, which is probably going to be Avengers King Dynasty, these side characters really aren't going to have a huge part to deal with unless there's like a season 2 renewal, right? Which at the moment we don't know. So it's kind of cool to see that the side characters do get a little bit of screen time and story time, and we get to learn a little bit more about them, as any other normal show and movie would do, right? Like, for example, when you watch a Batman movie, you obviously have like Bruce Wayne and Batman, but you also have characters like Alfred, Commissioner Gordon, Catwoman, etc. Right? So I think that they're doing sort of a good job here as well. They're dealing with a case of this man who cannot die, and how he's married 8 other individual people. And so now he's trying to deal with the whole divorce thing, and they found out that he actually doesn't die. And I think that's really interesting that they were able to do something like this. Kind of begs the question, like, how is he immortal? I'm curious to see, like, how this guy is immortal. Is it like something he was born with, something he was cursed with, something that is it a good or bad thing to know that someone here in the MCU is immortal? I mean, who knows? But yeah, so we have that storyline going on, and then we move over to the Jennifer Walters storyline, and she's at this wedding trying to hold it down as her own. She's not trying to bring any She-Hulk action into this. She ends up sort of befriending this one guy who sort of has a liking to her, and she ends up getting drunk, and since she isn't in She-Hulk form, she actually ends up becoming easily drunk, right? She drinks a lot, she's a tiny woman, and she doesn't have the She-Hulk abilities to tackle the alcohol, So she ends up becoming drunk, and we have this nice little moment where she's like dancing and she's drunk talking, and she ends up vomiting. Like it's just a good old fashioned, like wedding episode for this type of show and this character. I thought that was really fun. So then we move over to the big scene, which is Titania. I still don't even know how to pronounce her name, and she ends up fighting She-Hulk because of the embarrassment that we had last episode, where she ended up losing the trademark of She-Hulk. So it affected her in a very negative way, and so now she's come to take revenge. They pretty much end up fighting, which is actually pretty good. I thought that the CGI for the most part was fairly straightforward. It looked a little bit slow in terms of the movements, but I think that's something that maybe they just felt like was necessary when you're dealing with two heavy hitters. Maybe they're going to have some sort of slow action move set. So I thought it was fine. And the ending, we finished the episode with sort of this big tease of Nikki and Mallory are pretty much looking at the internet, and they discover this group called the Intelligia. Is it the Intelligentsia? Which I do believe is a group from the comics that contains of like the smartest individuals in the MCU, at least in terms of like Marvel Comics. I know that the leader is in that group at some point, so maybe this could be some sort of connection between this show and like Captain America New World Order. And we have sort of other characters that we're going to be introduced. But here's what I want to say. Overall, the episode was really, really good. I gave it a solid like 8 out of 10. It was comedy relief. I do think that they did make a mistake by putting this episode after the cliffhanger we had last episode. But it does make sense when, like, okay, She-Hulk's making a joke about it and whatnot. And also, I will say that the sort of the ending where we see Nikki and Mallory looking through the internet, I do love how they have all the She-Hulk like trash talk. Like they're talking about like how to get rid of She-Hulk, cancel She-Hulk, how to kill She-Hulk. They're really playing into that idea that like everybody hates She-Hulk. So again, the more they're adding fuel to the fire when it comes to like all the controversy that this show has been handling in the many weeks that it's been on. So a couple of things to note. First of all, they are really... So we have 3 episodes left. I just want to point that out. We have 3 episodes left, and we are so close to the finale. Couple things. We still have a lot to cover in this show. I've been saying this all week, but I have to. Like, we still have what? The Daredevil storyline. We still have the Wrecking Crew storyline. We still have... Frogman still going to be in this. We still have Abomination and his AA meeting. We still have potentially the Bruce Banner cliffhanger, which Jennifer did talk about earlier. She tried calling Bruce, but there was no answer. So he's still most likely in space. We still have sort of maybe the rest of the Titania storyline, if they are going to be addressing that, or whether or not this is just going to be the end for her. I feel not. I don't think so, just because that character is really trying to maybe not be the big bad, but definitely a big part of the show. And I think that in these final 3 episodes that we are going to be handling it. I mean, there's a whole lot. Like, I just listed like 4 things or 5 things off, and we still only have 3 episodes left. And it leads me to think that either all of this is going to be compacted within the next 3 episodes, or some of it's going to be cut. I mean, like, I don't know how you're going to be able to fit a Daredevil storyline, a Frogman storyline, an Abomination storyline, a Jennifer Walters, whatever she's going to be doing in these next 3 episodes. And then now you introduce the Intelligentsia, which could be connected to some of these characters. But, I mean, like, they're really, really, like, cutting it to, like, the last second of what this show is going to be handling. So I'm just overall nervous for like how they're going to be dealing with these characters and how everyone else is going to be handled. But we're going to have to wait and see, man. Next week, I don't want to say it's going to be the Daredevil episode, because I said that last weekend was wrong. But I mean, they have to introduce him. I don't think they're gonna be that bold to handle or to save him for the series finale. I don't think so. It wouldn't make sense for him to be saved until the very very end, and especially with the marketing. That just doesn't seem like a good move by Disney. But we're gonna have to wait and see, man. I don't know. There's a lot of things that's still left and on the table, so I'm just nervous that they're not gonna be able to have all of it. Like I want to see like the Abomination AA meeting with the other superhero or the superhuman people, and you know, all of that. I'm just looking forward to. But with that said, guys, I'm gonna bring this review to a close. If you guys did enjoy the review, be sure to leave a like, comment down below what you guys thought of it, and any theories that you guys have, and be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to make all these new reviews every single week. But yeah, I'm so interested to see how this show is going to be wrapping up, and we're finally 2/3 done with it. So next week we're going to be reviewing the beginning of the end. So with that said, thank you guys so much for listening. My name is Anthony Salic, and I will see you all next time. Peace.